This is r/DnDStories, where the magic isn't just in the eye of the beholder. And today we're back with more Masks of Destiny with a full special of them. This is the Masks of Destiny Chapter 7, Not a Naga. We don't fall for long before I hear 3 splashes. My body goes almost instantly numb as I'm submerged in the freezing water that awaits us below. I break the surface of the water, grasping for air as I feel my lungs are being squeezed. I can barely make out Kaylin doing the same and Elon next to her. I can tell that the water is moving and I know what this means. It's an underground river. The tent and the wood that we were using for a fire are drifting past me, soaked beyond belief. I start swimming as fast as I can towards where I think will be a shore.
Kaylin, Chastain, I can't swim!
I hear Elon scream from behind me in the darkness. I turn around to see Kaylin attempting to drag Elon behind her while she swims towards me. But Elon is too heavy. I swim over to them, exhausting my arms in the process, and I grab hold of Elon. Kaylin, get over to the shore! I yell over the now roaring water as we come upon some rapids. Kaylin starts making a swimming break for a shoreline, but doesn't get there fast enough. She gets caught in the rapids and is swept away downstream. Not good. Well, since she went that way, we're going too, I think, as I let Elon and I get swept into the rapids. I keep a hold of her, knowing that if she were on her own, she would quite possibly drown, and I lay flat on my back with my feet in front of me. We bounce off several rocks and drop off some small ledges before the river finally calms down. I see that the small enclosed space we are in now has opened up into a massive cavern, with the river running through the middle of it.
Chastain, Elon, over here!
Kaylin's voice cuts through the darkness as I see her jumping up and down to get our attention. I manage to drag Elon out of the water and onto the solid rock ground. Elon has passed out. We need a fire, I pointed out.
No duh,
Kaylin responds. After about 15 minutes of trying, we managed to dry out enough cloth to light it and get a fire started. Kaylin and I sit around the fire warming our hands, while we place Elon with her back to it as she regains consciousness. After she woke, we decided it is best if we sorted through what is unsalvageable and what is not. Most of our gear we could just dry and it would work fine, but other things like our rations were soggy and disgusting. While waiting for some of our spare clothes to dry off, Kaylin goes off exploring the cave, and Sood comes back excited.
I found a hallway,
she tells us, gesturing into the darkness. Show us, I respond, grabbing my sword and shield and donning my armor. After we pack up our little camp, we follow Kaylin back to where she found the hallway. She isn't wrong, but it's quite collapsed in places. We start to follow it and come to a part where the ceiling has collapsed in, blocking the path. We decide to start clearing the rocks, and after about an hour of hard work, we finally have it cleared. We start walking down the hallway, but are soon stopped because Kaylin sees something.
Hey you guys, look, carvings!
She points to the wall, and Elon and I both see carvings of what looks to be a half-snake, half-human. Is that a Yuan-Ti like me? I say, wondering if this was built by my ancestor.
No, see? It's much too big. It's probably something like a...
Kaylin begins. Naga, we both say at the same time. This is not good, I say, backing up from the wall. If there's a Naga further down, then we shouldn't continue.
But what if it's a good Naga?
Elon points out.
Wait, what even is a Naga?
I sigh. Sure, whatever. Let's just get this over with. Kaylin nods and we continue down the hall. Soon enough, the hallway opens up into a large room with 2 pillars holding up the ceiling on either side, and what looks to be an altar on the far end of the room. As we step into the room, my armored boots echo with a clang. Atop the altar, something unfurls. We all look at it as it rises up to its full height and looks at us. I notice that its gaze lingers on me, and its eyes narrow even further. Yuan-Ti, I hear it hiss in Abyssal. Naga, I hiss back in the same language. I get some weird looks from Kaylin and Elon before the ground begins to shake. Pieces of stone burst up out of the ground as 6 skeletons crawl out. They are the remains of 6 lizard men. We all back up into the hallway, with me at the front, Kalen behind me, and Elon at the back. This way, only 2 skeletons can attack me at once. I cut down the first skeleton without issue, but the second one swings a rusty sword at me and scrapes my armor. Kalen throws out her hand from behind me, and the skeleton freezes over. I attack that same skeleton, and it crumbles. 2 more lunge in to take the place of the fallen ones, but as they do, the sound of thunder echoes throughout the room as a bolt of lightning streaks away from the Naga, destroying all the skeletons and sending me reeling back. Kalen casts some sort of healing spell on me and helps me to my feet. We all 3 at once charge the Naga, and Kalen casts something on her staff. We reach the Naga before it has time to act, and I get in 2 good cuts at it. It hisses in pain when out of nowhere Kalen comes in with a mighty blow to the head with her staff. Elon joins in too and swings her mace, hitting the Naga in the side. It whispers a few words, and I feel a rush of magic surge past me. I wobble slightly, getting a bit sleepy, but I shake it off. Kalen seems to have felt it too. I glance at Elon and notice she's fast asleep on the ground. What the, I think. I go in for another 2 cuts, and the Naga recoils, but as it does, it moves its head right into the way of Kalen's staff as she slams it down on the Naga's head. I hear the sound of bones cracking as the Naga collapses and dies. I sit down to catch my breath and notice what looks to be a mask. There it is, another mask, I think, glad that the fight is over though. And we all decide to take a nap. Moving on, this is Masks of Destiny, Chapter 8, The First Mask. After we wake up and gather our belongings, I decide to check around the Naga's lair. I find many gold and trinkets when Kalen calls out to me.
Chascaine, come over here, I found something you might like.
I look over and she's waving something in the air. As I get closer, I realize it's a short sword, but finely made. Kalen hands it to me and points to some inscriptions on the blade.
It says Flair. Probably the name of it?
Kalen points out. I don't know. I can't read that language, I say, sheathing it and strapping it to my back. I'll get it checked out back in town. We continue to rummage around until I see something faintly blue sticking out from beneath the silver coins. I grab it and pull it out, revealing it to be a mask. Kalen, Elon, I think we found ourselves a mask, I call out to the other 2. They hurry over, glad to see that this wasn't for nothing.
Now that we have the mask, can we please start to clear out that staircase that's blocked?
Elon asks, shivering. I look over to where she pointed, and sure enough, there is a blocked staircase that I hadn't noticed before. I put the mask away and stride over to the fallen rocks, beginning to pick them up and toss them to the side. Kalen joins in, and so does Elon. After about half an hour of work, the staircase is cleared, and we slowly walk up it, still tired. As we get to the top, we see the sky. It is blue, as the blizzard has since passed. Elon is first to leave the stairwell and breathe in the fresh air. I'm right behind her, and Kalen behind me. I look around, gaining my bearings. I see just faintly the town of Kingsreach down at the base of the mountain, and start walking towards it through the heavy snowdrifts. After about an hour, we reach the chasm, and I remember that we destroyed the bridge.
Well, it looks like we're going around this time,
Kalen says with a light chuckle. What's so funny? I ask, giving her a questioning glance.
Nothing,
she says. It's obvious she's containing her laughter.
Come on, let's go.
We all begin to walk off around the chasm. Several hours pass, and we finally reach the end of the chasm. We turn around on the other side and begin going back. Several more hours pass with no signs of life, and we finally make it back to the other side of the chasm. I groan, "Ugh, the trek down is going to be so painful."
Oh my goodness, Chascaine, whining? What has happened to the world?
Kalen lightly punches me in the arm.
Oh, stop it, you 2. Why don't we all get on our shields and sled down?
Elon offers. Kalen and I look at each other surprised. I would not have thought of that idea. I pull out my shield and sit down on it, then push myself down the slope. I start gaining speed very fast, and before 5 heartbeats have gone by, I'm bombing down the mountain, Kalen and Elon close behind me. Some hours later, yes, hours, we reach the base of the mountain and pick ourselves up and walk to King's Reach. Remarkably, Carolus is waiting for us in the tavern. He sees Elon and visibly lets out a sigh of relief. "Did you find the mask?" he asks us. "Yes, and I got a new sword, too," I say, pulling out the sword and the mask. "I don't care about a foolish sword, but the mask," he trails off as he snatches the mask from my hand. He begins to flip through a large book and stops on a page. He looks at a picture and then back at the mask. "Yes, this is the mask of abjuration," he says, holding it up to the firelight. "And it seems it would fit our good soldier here," he continues, looking at me. He hands it to me. "Try it on." I take the mask and gingerly place it on my head. It completely covers my entire head, including my eyes, but somehow I can still see perfectly. As soon as I remove my hands from it, I feel a rush of power enter my veins, making me stumble back. "One down, 8 to go," Carolus says. That was r/DnDStories. Now, this is just a reminder, you don't need a high perception stat to find that, like, and subscribe.